The crowd was crazy, mereka semua cheering untuk alter ego, bahkan ada bendera Indonesia juga yang udah dikibarkan, dikeluarkan di sana. Gimana Potato sendiri melihat fans atau alter champs di sana? Apalagi alter ego adalah satu-satunya lebih tepatnya wakil dari Indonesia sendiri. Gimana perasaannya Potato?
Perasaan kita anak-anak Limak sih ya bangga lah, karena kan dari pendukung lainnya juga bersatu buat Indopret. Jadi sangat bangga dan nggak mau ngecewain mereka semua yang udah datang jauh-jauh juga.
Alright, they definitely are very proud of their fans, especially with Indonesian fans. They are coming all together to support Indo Pride, which is alter ego here, and they definitely don't really want to disappoint all of the fans here.
Well, speaking of your fans, you know, I'd love to give you the opportunity to say something to them, to your friends, to your family, and to your fans who have supported you throughout this entire year, all the way up to this point. What would you like to say to them?
Jadi mau silakan sepatah dua patah kata mau disampaikan untuk para fans di sini.
Untuk semuanya mohon dukungan dan supportnya karena masih ada 6 game, semuanya masih bisa terjadi apapun itu.
Yes, of course, semua masih bisa terjadi teman-teman semuanya. Please support Alter Ego because they still got 6 matches left, still 6 matches to go, and everything can happen inside this game. They definitely can go up in the leaderboard as well.
Well, Potato, thank you so much for joining us in your pre-match interview. We're going to let you go back to your booth and practice, get the rest that you need, and get ready for that first match. And congratulations on all your success so far. You may now go back to your booth.
Terima kasih Potato. Sekali lagi Potato.
And now, I believe, without further ado, it is time to go over to the analyst desk where they can break everything down before we dive into our first match of the finals.
Jadi langsung aja tanpa basa-basi lagi kita lemparkan ke analis desk kita untuk bisa break everything down sebelum kita masuk ke game yang pertama. Jadi analis dan juga host kece kita silakan.
Thank you so much, Banks and Donaviska from the stage right behind us. And welcome back, everybody, to the final day of the PMGC Grand Finals 2022. My name is Felix, and I will once again be having the honor of hosting this beautiful desk. My goodness, a fantastic and beautiful, surprising year of PUBG Mobile Esports lies behind us, and it all comes down to this day. A world champion will be crowned today, and we will find out who will be the one. And who better to do that with than Maxman and 7 Worlds Gaming? How are you guys feeling?
Fantastic. I mean, we had 2 great first days of play here for the Grand Final 7, and now we're ready to crown our champions. Is it going to be Nova? Is it going to be a new team for the first time? I have no idea, but it's going to be wild.
We'll have to wait and find out, and I'm actually, you know what, the alter ego got to me. I borrowed the jacket from the coach of alter ego, and I'm looking forward that they actually have good performances. Yesterday's pop-off from the crowd was amazing, and I want to see that. I want to see that again.
We will see whether or not they will be popping off in just a couple of minutes. But first of all, we want to take a minute to thank our beautiful sponsors. First of all, Sony and Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV's beautiful smartphone. Also, Sony Xperia Stream, which were co-developed in collaboration with professional esports players. You can play PUBG Mobile with Xperia Stream's total cooling system and multiple ports for intensive gaming and streaming. So if you want to share your highlights, if you want to stream on any of the social media platforms, you will be able to do so with no problem at all. Also, we want to thank Prime Gaming. In case you haven't heard of it, make sure to sign up. You'll get free games, free in-game premium content for lots of games, also for PUBG Mobile. So make sure to sign up and head on over. The links, you can find them in social media and in the chat. And also, we want to thank PBESI, which is the local esports association in Indonesia. Thank you so much also for supporting this beautiful event right here in Jakarta, Indonesia. In case you haven't seen it, most of you probably have, but if you haven't, you can vote for your favorite team. You see the graphic right there at the bottom of your screen. You can vote for your favorite team in the Grand Finals, and you can find PMGC tokens in Arengel, and you can use them to vote for your favorite team in the Esports Center. Make sure to open up your app and check it out. And last but not least, make sure to follow us on our socials. We've got plenty of them, and you can see them right there on your screen. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. You can find us in the name PUBG Mobile Esports. Make sure not to miss us on these socials, and you will be informed about all and everything in terms of esports. Literally everything's there. Like, everything is so condensed, and all the highlights, all the players, everything that's going on inside the next year, you will not want to miss all these beautiful information and socials. Let's get over to what we actually have in store for today, because this is the last day of PMGC.
Yeah, last day of PMGC, 6 more matches now remaining, 7, and gonna see how things are gonna be coming out. We had some comebacks happening in the second day in particular. So many teams are so close. We'll look at the rankings later on, but I would almost have to say almost every single team have a shot in these next 6 matches to make history.
We were talking about it before we actually started. We were looking at the leaderboard, which we will show you later, and we're like, yeah, almost any team has a chance. Yeah. If they can get a win right off the bat, they might put themselves into contention. And I mean, look at some of these teams. Some of them, I will have to call them out. I kind of expected to see more, but there was flashes of greatness yesterday. So I'm looking forward to seeing if we're going to be seeing that too from some of the other teams as well.
Exactly. I mean, some of the teams are a little bit lower, right? The reason why we say it's still possible for them is they need to start off hot today. And if they do so, they can be back in a race to take the trophy back home.
Let's take a look at the top 4 damage dealers inside this PMGC final so far. Starting off with the top from Starwood. Godlike Starwood, my goodness.
He had a banger day yesterday, Alex. I can tell you that much. But do you want a chicken dinner? I do want to see a Starwood chicken dinner happening eventually. But if there's one player that's going to stand out from Starwood, well, Godlike Starwood, it tends to be top pretty consistently, and he's got the white hair buff now. He's on point.
I was expecting the red hair, but you know what? I'll take it, especially since he is currently #1. But then you can see Revo. I mean, Alpha 7, even though they were very quiet yesterday, it's impressive to see that Revo was able to still perform and be up there with the top 4. And then we go to the top 4 knocks. I mean, S2G, I can say I expected them to be in top 5, and man, they're currently in contention to definitely get that win. 64 knocks out of them.
Strong, insanely strong second day. We were saying it, they were not too consistent when it comes to getting elimination and placement points in day 1. They worked on that, they improved upon it, and that is why they're currently in that top 3 podium position as of right now. And the thing is also, Silas doesn't need a team. Very clearly. This man, give him one nade, squad wipe.
Okay, true, but then we have to be careful with Nova, right? We saw day 2 Nova yesterday. And they definitely pushed up. We heard it from Paraboy. They expected to be in top 5. Well, guess what?
They did.
They set themselves perfectly to be exactly in top 5 and try to chase down some of the teams at the top, like KESAVA. So it'll be interesting if they are actually going to be able to catch them up.
Talking about past performance, let's take a quick look and have a quick recap at what's been happening so far. I love it. Starting off with S2G, that nade was fantastic. I was sitting in my seat, and I literally just wanted to scream. That nade, you can see it right there from this angle. But that's an art, literally an art.
I mean, he didn't have his team. His team was like literally, I think, like 200 meters away. He's like, don't worry, boys, I got this. One nade goes for the push, then the entire team just joins up. And their hold on this position, if Nova do not really put themselves in that position earlier, that would have been an SGG win, but then Nova does what Nova does on their second day, apparently. You know, they start off doing their research, then second day, that's when they pop off, and now they're in a position to compete, to claim their trophy back to back to back, and that was insane.
I mean, talking about Nova, I mean, Bgmi, for him to be able to do that play right there, and Frozen throwing that nade, getting that extra knock, and then they just continue to push. And we didn't even...
come on!
We didn't get to see the Paraboy nade. That was so amazing. We were kind of joking about it yesterday, right? Paraboy was doing so well that he decided to nade his teammates as well.
I do wish I was as good as Paraboy, where I get 6 eliminations in 1 fight versus 1 team. Those are the stats we're working with on Paraboy's side. But once again, S2G, the big step up. So many strong plays when it came down to it. The thing is, hopefully it's not going to be just day 2 to be their legacy in these grand finals. We want to see if they can keep the pressure on and keep these matches going their way.
And with SG, I mean, I think you mentioned it perfectly too earlier. It comes down to, are they going to be able to get those eliminations? They have showcased that they can actually continue to get those placement points, and that's why they're currently sitting in second place, as you can see right there with 123 points. And then we have KESAVA. That was the biggest surprise for me. I didn't expect them to be in that first place. I thought it was going to be Alpha 7, but KESAVA, they are very confident. And don't worry, we'll get a chance to talk about them a little bit more later on.
No, not only Alpha 7 and KESAVA in the top 3, also S2G, and we've talked about them plenty. They did have a rough start in this tournament, but you have come back, especially in terms of eliminations.
Exactly. I mean, we say we want to see a 50-50 split here coming out when it comes to rank with placement points and eliminations, and they've been able to do that in absolute banging fashion on the second day. And the most impressive things, there's only 5 Western teams, 3 of those are in the top 3 right now, which is mental when you think about it, when in the past, it's always been dominated by Asian teams.
Yeah, and when we were talking earlier about teams that might be able to make a push towards the top, this is what we meant. Any of these teams, I personally think up to 12. I think, Max, you were saying up to 15, right?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken. They can make a push to at least the top 3, to at least the top 1. It's going to be interesting. It comes down to the first game, and look at this head-to-head between Razy and Paraboy.
Okay, but of course this is the big step up. I'm sure that if Paraboy played like day 2 on day 1, I'm sure the stats would be way higher, but that just goes to show how much of a redemption they've been able to kick off on that second day. And I saw a lot of theories going on online. It tends to always be the case for Nova. Day 1, research, analyze. Day 2, start your comeback. Day 3, dominate. And I want to see if we can see that once again today.
You want to see dominate? I actually want to see if Order is going to be showing up. We saw him being a little bit of a rough stretch out of him. And then we go to the top Erangel performance. I mean, Indiabgmi, this is what's so impressive out of this team. I feel like they could have gotten 2 extra wins yesterday when it came down to Erangel. I got a chance to talk to their coach, and they told me that they are aware of the mistakes. We were kind of pointing it out, right? Whenever they did a 2-2 split late in the game, we were scratching our heads. We're wondering why they were even doing that. They are aware of it, and they are going to be fixing those kind of mistakes.
Yeah, I was actually really happy when you told me that earlier when you had that chat, and the fact they knew that that was a big issue, and we do not want to see those same mistakes happen once again. If that's the case, they could potentially hold on to the place in first and maybe take the trophy home to Brazil.
Are you teasing me?
Yes, I am. A little bit.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have seen it. We will be starting off with Erangel in just a couple of minutes, and we want to take this time to maybe touch on the biggest storylines. Apart from Nova, maybe coming back to a team that we've talked about just very briefly right there. Godlike Starwood, they seem to be making a comeback. That was their first 2 times they've been inside the top 3 in the last 2 games. You think it's going to start off in day 3 as well?
That's the big thing. As you said, no, second place and the third place. I want to see, can they keep that momentum? Because apparently, I talked to Senator, the coach of the team. The moral of the team is actually really good, which is surprising, knowing that they've been struggling. They've been seen as one of the favorites going into this tournament, not been able to really perform. So the fact that the moral is still there is good, but I do wonder if they can keep the momentum here.
Okay, let's take a quick look at the teams to watch from both of our analysts, and maybe starting off with you, Seven. Oh, what? Okay. I mean, tell me about one of your teams, or maybe just all of them because they're the same, you know?
Alter Ego. I mean, this is the only chance that I feel like I'm going to get a chance to actually talk about them. They showed up an amazing improvement yesterday with that win, especially in Sandhawk. We were talking about it. They played that perfectly. The way they were doing their splits, the way they were willing to take fights too. I feel like if this team can actually continue to do that and continue to improve and get themselves there within the top 3, they can possibly get the win here, and this crowd would go absolutely nuts.
I just want to get one more chicken dinner. Just give me
yes. I think we all want you. Max, going over to you. Godlike Starwood, we were just talking about them.
I feel like they've blamed me already on Twitter for cursing them pretty extensively. I get it, but Godlike Starwood right now, I gotta go entirely in. I got the jersey on right now. Okay, Godlike Starwood, if there's one time to make a comeback happen, it is right now on these next 6 matches. I believe they can make it happen. Keep on going, boys.
He cursed them.
They are sitting in 9th place right now. Yeah, we're talking about curse. Let's not hope it's going to be that way for them. Talking about another team that's pretty far down there, Brewery Ram. They just won that last game. And we were saying, we were hoping for a comeback. Any words on Brewery Ram going into today?
It was a good third party. I think there's one thing we can say about that game. They were opportunistic. That's great. I want them to create their own luck. I want to see a game where they have 4 players remaining and they just look hyper-aggressive, willing to take control of a position in the game. We haven't seen that at all these entire finals, except for that third party, as we just mentioned. I want to see the league stage, Ram. They've been missing so far. I want to see them hopefully come back today.
And for me, going based on their performances so far up to that one game, right, it's just not going to be good enough. I actually don't even have them finishing in the top 10.
Brutal.
Yep.
Look at this. We will see some of the players in the backgrounds. And talking about the Brazil region, maybe let's quickly touch on A7 because that was one of your favorite 7. They had only a single game in this tournament, but they did not get a single frag. Only 1 game. You expect that to continue?
No, I think the team is definitely aware of the issues that they need to fix. I got a chance to talk to them, and they were very confident. Actually, impressively confident. Their mood was actually very high, too, because this is a team that we've been mentioning over and over again. They go momentum very, very much, and I feel like it's going to come down to the first game. If they have a great first game, then Alpha 7 might have a chance to actually get in this win and being able to be the global champions. Yeah. But if they don't start off hot, I don't think it's going to happen, and I think it will probably end up with the top 3.
I mean, if you're purely looking at like the odds of the trophy going to Brazil, they're pretty high. Like, you got Inco in first, you got Alpha 7 in third. It's looking pretty good. Though, I do want to bring a little bit of an underlying team that we haven't really talked about too much. It is DRS. We keep talking about these massive massive teams all the time. You're talking about your Inco, S2G, Alpha 7, Nova. But DRS, they're chilling in 4th position, and if they strike hard today, we might see a Nepali team become the world champion.
Max, and they do have 2 wins in Erangel. And
Oh, that's big.
We do play Erangel 3 times today, so if there was ever a time for them to win, it will be today.
If the Nepali region can prevail, we will see in game number 1 of the PMGC Grand Final, Day 3. And who better to do that with than John Allen and Blank. Take it away, boys.
Thank you so much. We are into that final stretch. So are the teams. We are absolutely ready for it. Only time will tell what is going to happen because it is still all to play for.
It is still all to play for. There's so much on the line right now. Huge amount of prize pool, huge amount of prize money, huge amount of glory to be found during today as well. Day 3, 6 more matches. That's it. You're done. You're finished. And that will be the 2022 book to a close. And I'm very, very excited to see exactly how that last chapter does finish and what it sets us on for next year. Because if it is the 3P coming through from Nova, once again, teams will be looking to dethrone that king right at the top next year in Turkey. Or will we have ourselves a new PMGC Grand Champion looking to defend next year? I think that one of the crazy things is that right now with the way S2G is currently playing, and you keep saying this, John, is that they could certainly be the winners. And it could be a home ground team defending over in Turkey.
It would be amazing to see. It would be quite the story as well to see if S2G can keep that momentum going throughout the year as well, because that's going to be an important factor moving out of this tournament. But we've got to think about that later, Blank, because right now they've got to win it first if they want to be defending champions. Plenty of other teams, though, wanting to challenge for that title. You talked about defending champions Nova. Sure, they've had that rise from 10th up to 5th so far over yesterday, but they still have a little bit more to climb. And teams like Inco will not be going down without a fight. Even teams like Alpha 7, who started day 1 very, very strong and coming back into day 2, didn't have as much power, are going to be looking to put their best foot forward here in match number 1 on the day. We are looking for the first Erangel.
Horrible playing path to start our day off here, though. Day 1 was very kind. Day 2, even kinder when it came to playing path. Day 3, no prisoners, no mercy. Playing path down from Sosnovka all the way to the western side of Gatka here. A horrific way to begin, but for Stalwart dropping out early towards Novo, this could be a really good start for these boys.
And actually 2 teams going to be dropping out on the eastern side of the military island. Going to be a little bit of conflict potentially over towards Novo, a hot drop, and 2 more teams, 3 teams actually dropping out over Sosnovka, but they're all heading north, so likely going to see them over on that main island. Nobody going for C block at the moment, not that I can see anyway, which is fairly interesting, I'd say, with the plane path as it is. Still time to turn around if they want to go. And look at that, Alpha 7, they did drop out in the same position as Godlike Stalwart, but they are going to go all the way over the water towards Milter Power.
Yeah, I mean, but this is practically their basic drop spot anyways. This is fine for Alpha 7 as a backup. Other than that, was North George also an availability for Alpha 7, been dropping their majority of the time throughout this tournament. But Milter Power, Milter, very standard drop spot for Alpha 7 during this match. I don't think anyone's going to cause them too many problems on this side.
I am really surprised, though, that nobody dropped on C block or even on the western sides of that island. They're all going to have to head north, and not only because of the plane path now, they will go up with the circle. Another northern Erangel.
I think for most people, they realize that, honestly, going down towards Sosnovka military base or on C block, with this type of meta, this type of lobby, where they're all going highly central, that's Inco, though, getting dropped upon by S2G. They lose a couple there. That's one already down. Vitali sends away. Takes a fair bit of damage on the way out. That's Inco already losing one player. This could be a little bit tricky for them now. Wanting to take that central position early on, play with 4, but now playing with 3. This will cut their chances a little bit.
With losing Nenebete as well. That's really not the ideal candidate. Hang on a minute. Buradam are there as well. Inco, they are getting chased down right now. S2G with the elimination point that they were able to get. They're now 1 point behind Inco at the top of the tables, Blank, and maybe looking to pursue a little bit more with only 2 players alive for Inco. You've got to think that that central strategy of theirs is looking pretty shaky.
Yeah, this is not ideal for Inco, honestly, especially with that playing path. It does not give them a lot of time to get set up and going. Inco is a team that tends to do very, very well towards that end game, honestly, John. And that's where they find their big rewards. And you can also get yourself some big rewards from 2022 PMGC Special Crate, only available till the end of today, January 8th. So make sure you get hands on that whilst you still can.
4 angry men just picking each other up and moving forwards. Look at this, early moves. Generally, what you will see from Inco this time around, though, they are cut down in half entirely. Took a lot of damage early. There's no meds on Squash, so they still have yet to go for this loot. A lot of teams have made their way up north fast, and one of those teams, 4 Angry Men, will be across that river in North George, 2-2 right now. And all 4 of them still alive. T2K also moving to that north of the river. IHC, South George occupation.
Yeah, T2K can head towards Box Compound, perhaps hold there for a little while longer before heading up towards Severny side. 4 AM picking up their usual drop spot in North George, so they know that this should be clear, this should be clean. They'll either drop out and get towards that position nice and early. Inco's headed up towards Rozok. Imagine that they'll loot up quickly and then head a bit further upwards, but I think right now with Severny, very limited amount of places you can play in Severny and that area around it. This is going to be requiring to have 4 members, 3 members alive to be able to take some of the priority positions. I think this might be a bit of a write-off for Inco at the start of the day. However, this does lead us into a lot of that big storyline. However, Frozen currently demolishing Jane here, sending an absolute deadly spray his way.
And only bandages on board for Jane, which means that this fight is looking pretty shaky for the T2K outpost. Nade in through the window. You only need 1 HP to be able to lob those nades through, and that's going to be a flush. Frozen eliminated by T2K.
But Nova, that is such an unfortunate result. Like you said, Jane being on practically no HP there, perfectly lobs that grenade through the window. Will take down Frozen. Now Nova starting the day where they wanted to have that comeback, where they wanted to have that domination on day 3, to send them towards that upper side and really be in the fight for those number 1 and 2nd spots. Realistically, they want the trophy once again. But right now, it's S2G and Inco hugely pulling ahead. With Inco losing 2, it might just be S2G creating an even bigger buffer between them and the rest of the teams in this lobby.
Alter Ego. They have absolutely spurred the crowd to hysteria sometimes, especially with their chicken dinner yesterday. But they do still have their work cut out for them. 15th place right now, 65 points on the board. They aren't lost. I think that's what we can say for them. But they did manage to get the chicken dinner, and the one that they did get, it was fairly convincing.
Yeah, it was a good chicken dinner. Talking to Denny about it, the coach from the team, saying that, you know, they were given the circle. I had to be nice to him. I was like, look, you give it the circle, but you still have to play that out correctly. Take that win. I think that Indonesia could be certainly proud. And he said, yeah, well, we changed a few things, and we've worked on it. And again, this is PMGC. This is the hardest PMGC we've had in basically forever. So for Alter Ego, continue performing like this, it's really good to see. And I don't think there's a single team here that has underperformed massively. Maybe VPE, you could say, currently at 45 points, but there is 6 more matches still to go. Maybe they can change things.
Nova at the top of Everest, after getting backed off the position in the compound across the river by T2K, with a sneaky little nade. Godlike Stalwart moving on the southeast side as IHC and Fireflux in the crates near Georgia Pole, looking to lay claim. I think Fireflux, yeah, they have just been trying to move in on that west coast, and Solke gets spotted. IHC want to close the jaws of this, moving 2 players up to the warehouse. Solke into the vehicle as well, looks to hop out as they will have heard that one. The engine did switch on, and 2 players going straight on in. Solke with a challenge now, half HP, going to be tricky to make it work. UMP to move forwards, a lot of damage sent in, but Solke's being flushed out. Goes for the challenge, and it is IHC to take him down. Solke falls, and the rest of Fireflux divert attention. They flee, go back south.
Very nice stuff there coming through from IHC. Well, let's get themselves or at least 1 point, right? That 1 elimination, but it gives them a nice little platform to play from going forward. Order 50 eliminations. I mean, it's difficult not to go for him. Yuhai did have 49 though, so you gotta respect that. Just a little bit behind Order, who is kind of too good. Let's be honest.
4 angry men They've been making a little bit of an impact themselves. Currently 93 points, 7th place. Nova only 3 points ahead of them. Svan, the legacy player from this roster, keeping them in and leading from the front, really. I feel like this is a roster that has had quite a lot of power with it.
Yeah, WWX has been doing a very, very good job as well for that team. Putting in a lot of work. I don't think there's really anyone on there that hasn't pulled their weight. I think that's exactly what the organization wanted. Yes, Svan is great at leading that team, and he certainly does look like he has a ton of experience on board, but then they have created this core now, which is quite strong, and is certainly something that will carry 4AM to even greater heights coming towards that future. They're not that far behind some of these big teams towards the top. I think it was 93 points they started on today, which is fantastic. That still gives you a good running, 30 points behind the front runners. That's just one big chicken dinner. And right now, with where they're currently sat, they maintain a lot of the control over towards that northwestern side of the circle. And a lot of times, 4AM really struggles when they lose players early on. They're not able to get themselves set up. They can't play their splits. They've been given enough time now, I'd say, that they can set themselves up for a very strong late game without losing players at this current moment. Means that I think this could be a good 4AM game.
Influence came in as well, shimmying around on that northern side. Alpha 7 just a little bit to their west right now. Influence came in the lowest scoring Brazilian team, but in 8th place with 91 points, still in that contest, which is saying something. 3 Brazilian teams here in the finals. We've got 3 Chinese teams, but those nationalities are the highest represented in this stage. So the fact that all 3 of those Brazilian teams have over 90 points is really quite saying something.
It's an astounding result for the region, honestly. I think if you're a Brazilian fan, you should absolutely be proud of your country. And they've really fielded not only one team, 2 teams, but 12 separate players, all right now here in the PMGC. Every single one of them of insanely good caliber. It's very difficult to